OHYES, the Ohio Healthy Youth Environment Survey, is a voluntary anonymous online survey designed to collect data from Ohio students in grades 7 through 12. The survey collects data on important adolescent health topics. OHYES helps parents, schools, students, and others by providing data that can help identify needs and trends and support planning to better meet those needs. The OHYES Public Access Database is one tool that can help schools and communities use data from the survey. Purpose of this video. In this video, you will learn how to create simple tables using the OHYES Public Access Database, how to use the OHYES Public Access Database to create more complex multi-way tables. Purpose of the OHYES Public Access Database. The OHYES Public Access Database is a tool that can complement and extend OHYES reports. The database can provide reports on survey responses by county and region, and it is useful for running results by demographic categories, multi-way tables, or for additional variable options. Creating simple tables and multi-way tables using the OHYES Public Access Database. Simple tables and multi-way tables. How to get to the website. Let's get started. First, type the following URL in your browser: ohyes.ohio.gov. Public Access Database. The landing page for the Public Access Database has two links you will want to note. There is a link to a codebook for the data, which may be useful to you as you run the reports. The codebook explains what numeric values were assigned to survey responses, and it provides the decision rules used in defining the final variables appearing in the database. The other link you will want to note is the link for the access to the OHYES Public Access Database. We will click on that link to get into the database. Public Information Warehouse landing page. When you click on the link, you'll see this landing page for the Ohio Public Health Information Warehouse. You'll see a lot of buttons and options. You'll want to click on the one for the OHYES survey. The buttons you'll see first are those resources in the warehouse that have been accessed most recently. In this screenshot, you will see that the button for the OHYES survey is on the right side of the screen, just before NVSS. If you don't see the OHYES button on the first screen, please use the next arrow in the upper right corner to get to the second screen. You'll then see the OHYES button listed on the second page. Click on the OHYES button to enter the database. Public Access Database User Interface. Once in the database, you will notice that the interface has tabs to help you navigate the database. Let's walk through each of these tabs to see what we can do with the database. The first tab, Details, gives you some general information about the database, and it points out important benefits and limitations of the OHYES survey. Specifically, it should be noted that while the OHYES survey can be useful for decision-making, the survey was not designed for the purpose of producing county-level estimates. Keep that in mind as you work with the database. The next tab, Charts, allows you to produce figures displaying the percentage of individuals choosing survey response options. The functionality of this tab is similar to the Reports tab. The Downloads tab provides guidance on how to use this web interface. This tab also provides more detailed information about the survey. The Reports tab is probably the one you will use most frequently as you work with the OHYES data, so we are going to go into more detail on the Reports tab. You will notice that at the top of the window there are a number of reports that have already been created. These reports cover specific topics or areas of interest where all items on a particular topic are grouped together. For instance, there are already reports on all of the tobacco items and reports on all of the alcohol items. You can also select other items using the options at the bottom of the window. Generating a simple table. We are going to generate a simple table here as an example of how to create a report using the database. For this example, suppose we're interested in gender differences in alcohol use. When we click on Alcohol Reports, we see that there are various characteristics by which we can view the survey items related to alcohol use. Let's take a minute to see what each of these buttons does. The circular icon with a triangle inside, or play button, will run the report on the current line. The icon with a piece of paper and pencil will allow you to edit the details of the report. These represent various reports that you can choose, where some pre-selected alcohol items will be broken down by various survey participant background or demographic characteristics. These arrows allow you to expand and contract each of the 3 report panes. 1. Report List, 2. Report Builder, and 3. Output. We are in the Report List right now. The Report Builder allows you to more carefully craft the report to meet your analysis needs. The output shows the actual report. For our example, let's click on the play icon for the Alcohol Use Key Indicator by Gender report, further refining the data you want. Now that we have a report run against the database, let's look at 2 things: how we can further refine the report and what we can do with the data once we have it. This screen shows the Report Builder and the output panes. The Filter Variables section in the Report Builder is the one you probably will use most frequently. For each variable filter, there are 3 criteria that need to be specified. The first is the variable category. You can choose to only see a subset of the variables in the variable pull-down, or you can select all categories to see all of the variables. Let's choose all categories for our example. By default, the report provided will give you survey data aggregated across all survey years. Here, let's only consider 1 year. As such, we will select the survey year variable from the pull-down. Suppose next that we are only interested in data from the 2018-2019 school year. We will select that as the filtering criteria for the dataset, so we only see 2018-2019 data. There are lots of other options you can select. For example, the Select Row and Column Variables feature will allow you to include additional variables or to exclude some of the variables included in a report. The Select Measures feature will allow you to change the numbers reported. Finally, the Report Options feature will allow you to include or exclude some calculations from your report. You may not need to change any of these options as you work with the database. The preset or default options are reasonable and designed to fit most analysis needs. Once you have the options you need to include or exclude from the report, you then need to rerun the report. Click on the Show Report button to rerun the report. The Report pane buttons to the right allow you to scroll through the pages of the report. These buttons also allow you to print the report or to save the report to your hard drive in PDF, Excel, or Word formats. Interpreting what is in the tables. Let's take a closer look at the output tables we created from the database. Here is our table looking at alcohol use prior to age 13 by gender for the 2018-2019 school year. The table breaks down responses to the survey item in rows, by gender in the columns. Note that the columns come in pairs. The first column of each pair provides the count of individuals selecting that response, only among those in the named column. In this example, 850 male students drank alcohol before the age of 13. The second column of each set provides the percentage of individuals selecting that response, divided by the total count of individuals in the named column. For instance, 14.4% of the 5,915 male students surveyed drank alcohol before the age of 13. Totals across rows and totals across columns are also provided. The totals across columns here reflect survey responses for use before age 13 aggregating or adding up over all genders. The row totals represent genders aggregating or adding up over all survey response options for use before 13. One important thing to keep in mind: the totals only will include those students who answered the question about the age in which they first used alcohol and who answered the question about gender. Changing the variable of interest. When you are analyzing the data, questions may arise about other variables in the survey. You can easily change the variable you are looking at from the report builder. You will need to expand the Select Row and Column Variables section if it is not already selected. From there, you can click on the plus icon, and you will be able to add an additional variable. If you are no longer interested in a variable, you can click on the trash can icon. Extending simple tables to multi-way tables. The OHYES Public Access Database is primarily designed to provide survey item response counts and percentages by only one characteristic. 30-day marijuana use by grade would be an example of a survey item by one characteristic. However, users of the database may need to create reports by more than one characteristic, such as 30-day marijuana use by grade and gender. These are often referred to as multi-way tables. There is not a way to directly run multi-way tables in the public access database, but we can obtain the same information for a multi-way table with a little bit of work. For our example, suppose we are interested in knowing the percentage of students who have not used alcohol prior to age 13 in the 2018-2019 school year by grade, for 7th and 8th graders only, and by gender. Because we cannot directly do this, we will run a report for use of alcohol before 13 by gender twice. The first time, we will select 7th grade in the filter. The second time, we will select 8th grade in the filter. To get started, we will click on the plus sign to add another selection filter. This time, we will add 7th as a select filter for the variable grade. From the Select Row and Columns variable section, we will select Gender C for the column variable. We will then click Show Report to run the report. We will then want to make sure we save or record our results elsewhere, such as copying the results to a Microsoft Word document. We then want to run the report again using 8th grade as a selection filter. One thing to note with the non-traditional students, we have ended up with results that were suppressed due to a small frequency of occurrence. This is done in cases where there are fewer than 15 students with a characteristic, and it is one way that the OHYES works to keep student survey responses confidential. We want to record our information for 8th graders highlighted in red. We now have all of our information, so we can combine it to get our desired result. As can be seen after combining our results, about the same number and percentage of male and female students used alcohol across grades, with 87% or more not reporting alcohol use. On the other hand, non-traditional gendered students are less likely to have abstained from alcohol use, and this is especially the case for non-traditional gendered students in the 7th grade. Working with the database takes practice. Help is always available. If you have questions that have not been answered by this video, please contact us by email at info@oyes.ohio.gov or by phone at 866-563-6904. The OHYES survey is an important tool that helps us improve the health and well-being of our schools and communities. It is a great tool that can help you use the OHYES data.